All right. So welcome back, guys. So I guess we already talked about Coach K. Uh, Next logical thing, we got the playoffs, man. Last
Oh
time
yeah.
we talked, we were predicting the play-in games. Last time we were talking. Now we're like full into the playoffs. Definitely. The Bucks swept the Heat. We definitely thought that wasn't going to happen. You know, it wasn't a 7-game series between Knicks and Hawks. But I think, where should we start? Let's start with this. So right now, this is on my phone on the side because we
My
got to
computer right
record. It's on his computer right now. We're recording this during there's 3 minutes left in the Denver Portland game.
Oh,
This series, man, what, oh my gosh. I think we saw that this would go to 7. You said Portland, I said Denver. But this game just it's been crazy how these stars have shown up on offense. Like Dame has shown up. I mean, of course,
yeah.
2 nights ago, that game 5 is an all-time classic. 12 3 points made, 6 in like the last minutes of like in the last minute of regulation, the last minute of overtime.
Yeah.
But like 6 combined, it felt like. And but this series in general, like as I've been watching, it's been blowout, 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 and then close game. But it's no Jokic hasn't. I mean, Lillard stepped up. Jokic has stepped up. I feel like offensively, I mean, Austin Rivers has found like a different lane now. Like he's like the fact that you don't have Jamal Murray, so you have to depend on a guy you got straight up from waivers in Austin Rivers, uh, and he's just solid 3-point shooter. It looks like for the Nuggets. This has been an entertaining series just from an offensive standpoint, and let's see, Lillard, yeah, he's gonna make that. But yeah, I guess what do you want to talk about this series, man? Do you want to talk about Game 5? I guess that's all we can talk about, man.
All right. Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, we'll talk about game 5. That game, I think I'll remember for quite a while. That game was when I say like I think about like, clutch players, like I thought about that time game. Well, Dame was. So let's give some of our viewers a little bit of background. Dame Lillard, and he was basically just like a one-man flamethrower at the the end of that game, basically. So in the fourth quarter, hits a crazy 3. Overtime, the Nuggets were up 9 points in overtime with about, I think, like a minute and a half to play. Portland rallies back, and we're down 3 again in the closing seconds of overtime. And Dame hits another 3 to send into double OT. And then unfortunately kind of runs out of gas, and then, they fall in double OT. But, in that moment while he was going off, those were flashes of Klay Thompson game 6, flashes of just like absolute insane brilliance. I was like, I said to my dad, I was like, Klay Thompson, when he's hot, is so fucking good. But when Dame is hot, it's unbelievable. Just like he had this one.
Maybe like MJ is like the only player you can like when he's hot and when he's like clutch, like it's what you can't do anything
You can't
about.
stop anything about. Yeah, you can't
No
stop. He
and
literally
also, who can match that? Like just who? Like in that zone, like it's crazy.
maybe Steph, I guess, if you wanted to say like, I think I thought Steph played a really good game against the Lakers, like in that playing game. Like I think so. Like I thought some of his shots were, as of difficulty that Dame had on game 5. So, that would be a comparable comparison. But, other than these guys, I don't think anyone else.
What I mean is like, but when I mean, no offense to Steph, it's because Steph has had Klay by his side. And no, during this game, let me get my thoughts organized. But I think no offense, like when you look at Steph though, not Steph. Jeez, you look at Dame. I mean, we've had so many of these, against the Rockets, against the Thunder, against there's teams like this where he'll just like this dagger done. Like it's a half court or like he'll do some crazy shot like to seal it. And I think seeing how many times he did it and then how hot he was, and then it's just it's wild. I don't know, like Steph doesn't necessarily do that. Like he'll make crazy shots, but like he'll have like Clay by his side to help him out and that, or yes, what happens with the Lakers can happen, but like at the end of the day, it's not even like even then he wasn't able to, like, because he was double teamed and they just treated him like he was the only player that could do anything for a damn near the end.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, of course, that playing game feels like eons ago, but the Warriors did great that playing game. I like overall, it was just if LeBron didn't turn into whatever
super three rim LeBron, yeah,
super three rim saying sold his soul for the devil, I swear. 3-point shot. Like what is that? And like Curry had a decent closeout too, but like anyways, where we go? Yeah, no, but I don't think anyone can really match Dame, even Steph. Like I would just say that in that sense. But during this, I was like, Dame is so loyal, but he needs to get damn traded, or they need to like blow it up. Like they need to blow it up. They need McCollum to leave. Even McCollum, I thought. I mean, we generally like McCollum, but that game, you needed something. He needed to bring something, and it was crazy how bad the team was outside of Dame, and I felt so sad for him. And that was like, I can't believe Dame doesn't request trades. Like it's just, because like poor guy, like Jesus, like you can carry your team like that, and it's different than let's say another star carrying their team and they have like something around them, like they'll just carry it because let's say LeBron will carry his team, but like LeBron knows that his other players, they'll become role players that can do something of value, even if it's not scoring. Let's say LeBron will go on these crazy games. Like he'll know that they'll do something defensively or they'll do assist numbers or something like that. I was watching that game and it was just Dame doing step back, side step threes. Like it's not even like Covington missed like these, tried to poster a dunk. That was bad. Ended up missing. McCollum steps out of bounds. I'm just like, what is going on? Like I don't know. And they were down by so it's over. There's 30 seconds. It's 30 seconds left.
Yeah. Game's over.
So I was right on this one. You were wrong. I had Denver winning it. You didn't. But I guess I don't know what more I gotta say about Game 5. Oh, what else you gotta say?
Well, okay. Let me just say, like, Portland in general. But yes, we'll talk about Game 5. I was just gonna say, I agree with your points. First of all, really quick tidbit. As a Lakers fan, I'd do this in a heartbeat. Trade away Anthony Davis for Dame. Like I'd do that in a heartbeat because, like, I mean, fuck that. I mean, Anthony Davis, like injury wise, like it pains me to my heart at this point. Anyways, aside from that, Mr. Loyal Dame in Portland, if he wants to actually win a championship, they have to blow up this team. I think CJ, as good as he's been, he's improved a lot this season. Like, don't get me wrong. Literally, I think this team is just not built to, get that far into, deep playoff runs and all that. Unfortunately, Nurkic literally fouls out 3 of the 6 games they play in this series. Like, you can't do that. You have, people that, McCollum kind of, he's been good, but he kind of disappeared, down the stretch. You have literally one guy carrying the entire team for 6 games. And this game's final, Denver won the series.
Yeah.
By game 6, Dame has literally tired out. He's done everything he's done. He's given all he has. He just can't carry that much anymore. I mean, it just becomes impossible. So I think, testament and credit to Denver, of course, but I think Portland, they need to do a little bit better in terms of that too. So.
Oh yeah, credit to definitely credit to Denver. I shouldn't say credit to Denver. Good series win. We thought it would be in 7. The fact they did in 6, maybe that shows how Denver's better than we thought, or just McCollum just didn't show up when we thought he should, or Covington didn't, and all that. Nurkic fouling out. Then you got the meme about you can't trust Canner. You can't play Canner. Which I don't know. I like Cantor, but that whatever. It's and think about how much to get. I think it was like a first round pick and a bit to get Covington. They've already tried to invest so much that I don't know what more they can do to get off the hump. Do you think Terry Stotts gets fired?
Terry Stotts gets fired. I think it's more of a player personnel kind of thing than a coaching thing. Yes, Terry Stotts can get fired, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does, but I don't think he should be fully taking the fault here. So that's my opinion, but I don't know.
All right. I just want to ask that. I got no thoughts other than that. I kind of agree with you on that sense. It's a lot of player personnel. I think it they haven't constructed a good bench. Their bench, it's even the regular season, let's just say this. The regular season, they needed to just play their starters to a full stretch as if they were in the playoffs, because their bench gave them absolutely nothing other than, let's say, Canner in exchange, those solid rebounding numbers from Canner.
Right.
Again, I only really know this from fantasy basketball, but I mean, he was a good solid bench player. But other than that, they were just bad on the bench, and I think you just got to build that up. And I don't know how you build that up when you already use so many assets and so much capital on trying to build the starter, and even the starters aren't good enough for Dame. And it's not even like Dame is not. It's not even like Dame has a Westbrook problem. I could argue. I could understand if someone wants to say, well, couldn't Dame just be like Westbrook, where it's just kind of hard to put people around him? But I don't think that's it, because the way Dame plays, it would help the people around him. It's not. It's just. I think it wouldn't be like that. So I would argue I'm arguing the straw man I just created, but I think you can give Dame good players, because I think he'll just make them even better. It's not like his game makes him worse. It's So he's a good playmaker. He's a great assist man and playmaker on top of his 3-point shooting. So he was a great point guard. Period. What more we gotta say? So yeah,
I think.
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think he is a little bit, just half a step. I wouldn't say even a full step, half a step down from the full capabilities of what Stephen Curry and his system would bring. But it just basically, if you see what Stephen's doing in Golden State this season alone, and then it's been tough, but you're just seeing how Dame can really just translate that across. He just needs help, as Steph needs help this season, which hopefully Clay will be back next season full strength and everything like that, to get to the next step. I was also going to mention real quick, I have to give a quick shout out again to Nikola Jokic. Guy absolutely went off this game, 34 points. Again, I think it showed you. Nurkic is a pretty good defender. Of course, he got fouled out, but so that probably doesn't help. But anyways, if you saw this series, if anytime Portland decided to double team Jokic, he absolutely shredded them, because he just passed it open. He elevated players this series like no one ever could.
Austin Rivers.
Austin Rivers, Monte Morris. These guys were Austin Rivers on waivers. Monte Morris was left bench. These guys are Monte Morris scored 30 points, I think, in game 5. why are these guys scoring this many points? Because they're getting open ass looks because of Nikola Jokic. So yeah, credit MVP for sure.
Also, Portland is bad defensively, but
they
I
have a
mean,
bad.
not yeah, because Monte Morris, I wouldn't get. I like this next series, if whether it's Lakers
Suns, yeah.
or Suns. I don't care if you double team Jokic and you pass to Morris. Morris isn't scoring 30 points like the same way. It's just like Portland is up there with the Nets as like one of the worst defensive playoff teams this year.
Yeah, that's
so. It's that's a different thing altogether. I think we've milked this cow enough. All
right, yeah, I agree.
You agree? All right,
yeah.
So we got it. So I guess series that have wrapped up or we were wrong on. So both would be the Bucks Heat. I guess we were wrong on the fact that we thought it would take a long time and it didn't. We both had the Bucks winning, but I mean, our Bucks, I guess pseudo fandom continues on, and is proven right.
Well, it literally, I think, probably reinforces that point at this point that the Bucks are legitimately scary and that they have a really good chance of beating the Nets. I mean, I think the Nets, like, if you know, some people think that like they're unstoppable, that if they have everybody healthy, they'll just cruise their way to the championship. But looking at how the Bucks absolutely shredded the Heat, just unbelievable. I mean, come on, like they were saying game 3, the Bucks had a bad shooting game, had a bad night.
They did.
They won by 26.
I know.
What?
Yeah, but they did have a bad shooting night though. It was like, so what they did defensively was it was nice. It was like basically a like retribution to how, so with Drew Holiday, you can't treat the Bucks the same way as like Drew Holiday just makes the team that much better on offense and on defense, but definitely on offense. So the Heat couldn't try to do the same defensive game plan they did against Giannis like a year ago, because now you got Drew Holiday. Now, I mean, Middleton's gotten even better, right? But then they just flipped on his head. It's like, you're going to build a wall to try and, stop Giannis from scoring. Well, we're going to do it with Bam. And Bam looked terrible. And I'm thinking, as a Celtics fan, Brad Stevens, a genius he is, how couldn't he think about this a year ago? Man, we could have used this. He was killing us. He was our best player, like,
he was
final last year. But point, whatever. I think the defensive game plan they had, it just, you have to put all the workload on Jimmy. And that team, I mean, Ariza's worse than Crowder. Right? The Heat team got worse. The Bucks team got better. Yep. And this is what you get. I think that's a solid way to recap it. And I think you're right. Although it's close to 50-50. And I mean, I think that Celtics series actually gave me a little more confidence in the Bucks. Just because the fact that the Celtics actually got a game in, I'm like, and Kyrie is able, like, Kyrie can brick, like, although
Kyrie can brick.
Game 4 he went off and game 5 was solid, but game 3 was terrible. Like, if you're able to affect him like that, if Drew Holiday can actually, like, if he's able to turn that into consistent disruption of Kyrie, like, my gosh, like, defensively, they have guys that can really defend, and like, this Celtics team wasn't that good. We'll talk about more of that later on, and I guess this will lead up to that conference series preview, conference semis preview. But yeah, I think also there's this I guess it's not necessarily a meme, but like it's a funny anecdote. So before game 2, that was when the Bucks really asserted themselves and set the tone for the rest of the series. Before that game, Giannis was wearing black Air Force Ones.
Oh, all right.
What a meme! My gosh! It's like always like, don't mess with guys with black Air Force Ones, and then he's like, I'm gonna pull up into black. It set the tone, and I think if you come at it like that, and if let's say the Bucks regress to the mean with shooting, like, they were bad shooting, not just at game 3, but consistently throughout the series they were bad shooting. if they can just regress to the mean, especially with a worse defensive team like Brooklyn, I mean, watch out. I think the Bucks could. I would. Although I'm pretty sure it's 50-50, and objectively, people might be like, "Oh, well, they both equally have a shot." I'm saying the Bucks are more likely to win than the Nets. You heard it here.
You heard it here. You heard it here. Hey, I was just gonna say right now though. I have both, ringer pundits and me and you are saying this. Bucks Nets. They are saying that's basically the finals matchup. The finals matchup. I'm saying it's the series to watch. Watch every game of that series. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be really damn good. Get the popcorn ready. Definitely.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. And all right, so how are we doing this? So I guess next, do we just go straight into Brooklyn Celtics?
Sure, let's do it.
And then I'm trying to think of how we'll do the order. Well, let's just do this first, and then we'll figure it out as we go. This is live, guys. Well, it's not necessarily live, but I'm bad at editing, so this is pretty much live. Let's see. So how do we cap this down? I don't know. I'm a little concerned about the Nets. You could say, oh well, they shook off the rust with the Celtics. Like that series was able them to shake off that rust, and I mean they were still good offensively. I mean KD was still good, and Harden would do his thing, and I mean Kyrie, except for that game 3, he was solid. So I guess there's nothing wrong on that point, but I just feel like a ragtag team that, relatively ragtag team in the Celtics, that it was the Tatum and the Tatumettes, using Bill Simmons' words, but it was just Tatum and like other guys that weren't able really stepping up that much. Right. You're going to let one guy beat you in one game. And then that's all I got to say. How are you going to let one guy beat you in one game? Exactly. And sure, you could just wipe it off. Same way we might wipe off. The Sixers didn't have Embiid, so we'll wipe off that Wizards win. And I guess to be fair, the Nets did blow out in their wins. It was almost blowouts. Definitely game 2. I remember that, and I was discouraged as hell. So, but what are your thoughts? Man?
I think, honestly, so yes, I would give credit to Nets. Like, of course, like the blowouts, they are impressive, of course, but I can't take too much away from this series. I think, really just looking at it, the Celtics were, to be very frank, they were outmatched in pretty much most facets of the game.
Oh yeah.
And, it took a Tatum supernova 50-pointer to get them one game. Yeah, literally, if you're just playing against a much worse team at this point, and it's like, okay, well, yes, you're expected to beat them. I mean, you got 5 games. I guess that's fine. Great. So I think I can't take too much away from them. I'm saying that, chemistry looks okay on them. Defensive wise, I really focused on how much KD had to play on the opposing team's best player. I can't take too much away from this series, but I think KD played a little bit less, which is nice. Good for the Nets. He doesn't have to tire himself out too much on the defensive end. But I think against the Bucks, it might be a little bit different because they have so many elite playmakers, so many shot makers that, everyone else has to be busy. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to throw like 4 guys at Jason Tatum because he's the only guy that can score on the Celtics, basically. No, there's going to be a lot more players that can score on the Bucks. So, yeah, in total, can't take too much away, but I think the Nets are solid as advertised, but the Bucks are solid as advertised too. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, the Bucks and Nets have played head to head, even at the end of that year, end of the regular season, when they were both at relatively full strength playing head to head, and Giannis was able to actually outduel KD. So right. We'll see. We'll do a conference, I guess, because that's the only conference semifinals. I don't know if we want to do a conference semifinal preview. We can do that later, but let's I'm gonna go down through the first rounds. So let's see what's next. You want to do Wizards Sixers?
Sure.
I mean, I guess what's the timeline for Embiid's recovery? That's the only question I really have.
Literally, so I am shocked. I think I am shocked. It might be because they were desperate. I don't know, but they said he was day to day. The man has a torn meniscus for you guys that if you guys do not know. And I don't think a torn meniscus is a day to day kind of thing. It is pain management, yes. But when you have a torn meniscus, significant knee swelling also comes with it. And for Embiid as a big man, and he has to, run around a lot, rebound, be agile. That really, really, I think affects him. So I don't think day to day is the right way to say this. And, I think it's going to really have a hampering effect into the next series when they play the Atlanta Hawks. I think, it's going to show. I don't think Embiid's going to play game one, honestly. I don't know why you're saying he's day to day. That's just insane. But
knowing that man's injury history as well, like, why would you want to put him at even further risk? Like, if you're already, I mean, I get it if it's like, I don't know. I get if it's like later on in the series or whatever, and not to discount the Hawks because the Hawks look damn good. Maybe we'll talk about that series after this one. But yeah, I mean, my whole thing about, so we had Sixers Lakers, right? My whole thing about how the Sixers were able to get all the way up to this point and possibly winning it, like we said, although you said Sixers for karma purposes, I toss up and I said I'll just go with you. But I don't know. The whole point was to have a healthy Embiid. If there's not a healthy Embiid, then I think whoever wins the Milwaukee Nets actually wins it this year, the East. But this is just terrible, man. That's all I really got to say, because I mean, they did a decent job. Of course, there's that one game where at Game 4, everyone's and Westbrook, he had 21 rebounds. He had 14 points. He's a point guard with 21 rebounds. Jesus Christ. So sure, that'll happen, but I don't know. I think the Sixers, I don't feel any worse about them, except for the fact that Embiid is injured. That's like now that Embiid's injured, I'm definitely lower on them. But their supporting cast, like, it's as advertised in my opinion.
I mean, if Embiid's injured, I'm much lower on them because Embiid.
Oh, of course.
MVP, yeah, like literally. Go ahead. I was going to say real quick, he is the reason why we would pick him over the Nets, because he is the exploit guy in the center, like down low, that the Nets don't have anybody to counter. But if he's out, would you want Dwight Howard? I mean, you could say, like people say nowadays that, like someone's the Walmart version of someone else. Dwight Howard's not even the Walmart version of Joel Embiid. I don't even know what he is. He's not anywhere close to how good Joel Embiid is. So
maybe the Dollar Tree version.
Dollar General, yeah, basically.
Dollar Tree version, yeah. But what I was about to say is the Hawks ain't no joke.
They ain't no joke, not at all.
So that was where we were wrong. We were definitely wrong. We too much stock in Thibodeau.
Did we take the Knicks?
Yeah, we took the Knicks.
Oh my God. Okay.
We took the Knicks. I think you said 6 and I said 7, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been both at 7. We're like, oh, Thibodeau has a plan. He'll be able to find a way to disrupt Trae Young. Oh my God, Julius Randle just was a shell of himself.
Well, I'll say this, and this has been repeated across airways by pundits all the time, but Atlanta, since Nate McMillan has taken over,
they're second best.
Insanely good at defense, second best, right? In the playoffs, they've been playing like lockdown D.
I think they had the second best overall record since Nate McMillan came in the NBA. That's their
defense is like, I think in the playoffs it's like top 2, something like that. It's just like been unbelievable. Yeah, sure. The Knicks don't have like a ton of playmakers, but they make Randall look silly. They made him look like a clown. Like what the hell are you doing? Like yeah, they
They
don't.
made all the Knicks fans shouting MVP look like idiots.
They made
I,
Steve May. They made Steve May probably cry. I mean, come on, it's just.
so to be the only game that I've watched like in like pretty big detail was like the same day as the not that was the Clippers. I think that was the game that Luka landed on his back funny. We can talk about that series. Those 2 LA series, we're gonna be here forever. But that was the same. I saw that game. I think it was either 3 or 4 of the Hawks Knicks. I think it was 3. It was game 3.
Game 3.
I just saw the way they just toyed with the Knicks. Like Trae Young just could not do any wrong. And it was just the way that team was constructed offensively. It's already offensively was already great or good, I should say. Let's keep it at good, at least. And with Nate McMillan and that defense, like my gosh, now they're on a whole nother level. And I'm worried even this series, I'm worried about the Sixers that they don't have what's this Embiid. I keep wanting to say Jokic every time I keep talking about Embiid. I don't know why, but I always get the 2 big men, 2 7-foot big men that should front runners in the MVP race. But if they don't have Embiid, I'm a little worried about them too because, I mean, I don't know if the Hawks are like you said that great defensively, like top 2 or 3 defensively, that they could match the Sixers' defensive prowess. Offensively, they're better. I think we just got to without Embiid, offensively the Hawks are better.
Absolutely.
And sure, you could say Simmons can stop Trae Young, and Tybal could, find a way to hinder, let's say Bogdanovich. But if Gallinari gets going, or how are you going to clean off the board? Like Clint Capella is a beast at center. Like as far as rebounding is concerned, if you don't have Jokic there to cancel him out, like you said, Dwight Howard's the Dollar General version, not the Walmart version. So Clint Capella is going to have a field day, I feel like. So yeah, if Jokic, Jesus Christ, if Embiid is day to day, I think that the Sixers could pull this off, but I mean, it won't be a sweep if the Sixers win this.
No, not even close. I'm just gonna quickly say, just because we are just, taping this in between actual live games. Have a quick moment of silence because Anthony Davis has gone to the locker room. He's probably out for the rest of the game. As a Lakers fan, that I mean, okay, we were expecting not to play with him this game, but he still played, and I thought I was too optimistic, and this happened. So,
I mean, I was gonna say, don't discount LeBron Game 6. Don't discount this man with Game 6. As I'm saying that, I'm seeing that Mikal Bridges is just making these guys look silly. My God, this is happening. I mean, I gotta have some humility, and you're a Lakers fan, but as a Celtics fan, I feel good.
You feel good. I was gonna say
this is a silver lining on a weird few days. As a Celtics fan, we'll talk about the Celtics news a different segment. So what other East series was there? So we talked about the 1, 2, 3. We talked about all the East series, right?
All right.
So I guess do we want to talk about the one that's happening right now?
Sure, I guess.
Want to get into it? I told you something was gonna be funny. I told you it would be in 7 games or 6 games. You're saying I should read the room, but like you're saying You're saying gentlemen's.
I'm just watching Devin Booker absolutely torch the Lakers right now. He has
Devin Booker's eating y'all. Yeah, Devin Booker's eating y'all alive.
Absolutely torching us right now.
Past few games, Devin Booker's eating y'all alive. And I don't know, even Cameron Payne, like he's gone on offensive stretches, even like before AD got injured and everything. Like Cameron Payne was like doing solid offensive stretches and keeping them in like game 2 and game.
Yeah, we had a joke saying that like whenever role players play against the Lakers, turn into like MJ, basically because like go off. But hey, yeah, it's happening again. But yeah, what are your thoughts about the series?
Well, I think we're wrong to make this. I'm gonna hide my excitement just because. I mean, coming from Lakers standpoint, the Celtics, we didn't have that much expectations. Like the Lakers, should have won the finals this year.
Yeah,
but I guess Chris Paul, even with the injury, right, he's able to show that he has built this team up. Like as much as we want to say, like, oh, the Lakers didn't have AD, and that is, I think, a solid case to make. I think Chris Paul's impact on this team before Chris Paul was not a playoff team, not even near a playoff team in most cases. And even with him not necessarily 100% on the court as much as he should be, let's say he would be in the regular season because of the shoulder injury that he has, this team has actually embraced that principle. Like they've actually learned lessons from Chris Paul. And Chris Paul, this is the time you see Chris Paul's impact on a bad team, like really show when he's not playing.
exactly.
Which just, I mean, further shows like I love Chris Paul because like he's not even 100%, and this team has able to embody everything that he's taught these young role players, and they have carried it out solidly throughout this series. Ayton, my God, we were doubting Ayton before this, right? And
oh my God, yeah.
what Ayton has done, even in games with AD, what Ayton's able to do, this Suns team, who I have kind of been low on them relative to others, just because I didn't think their bench was that solid. I didn't think they had like good rotations and everything. But Jay Crowder stepped up. Everybody, Cameron Payne, like these bench players stepped up, and I think this Phoenix franchise, even if Chris Paul is so old and he has to leave, I think him just being there and seeing how this team is playing, it's nowhere to go, but it's just going up. It's just going to go up for the Suns, I believe. And there shouldn't be anything wrong with losing to the Suns, especially without AD, because I mean, the Lakers messed this up too. I mean,
they messed it up. Yeah,
they messed it up. They like with KCP. I mean, we thought he was going to be great. I mean, just the shooting was terrible outside of, let's say, LeBron. The shooting was atrocious.
Yeah.
It was quite bad. And
bad, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we saw when AD was great. I mean, when AD was in full health, although that game 1 was, bad from AD. The game was bad from Drummond AD, and the Suns won that fair and square. I think you saw the way that team was able to work with in games 2, 3,
right.
2 and 3 with AD. It's yeah, I'm just going on a little rant here. It's just now I'm watching, but I'm sorry, I'm just getting phased by these WWE promos. Like, what the WWE alternatives? My bad. This is some wacky stuff in wrestling. We don't necessarily cover wrestling. This is why. It looks wacky as hell. But made me lose my train of thought. I think there was only so much AD could do. I think as much as you hate Danny Green, They kind of miss Danny Green. They kind of miss even Dwight Howard. I think Dwight Howard would have done a better job than Andre Drummond has. And Andre Drummond's been disappointment. Let's just say it. I'll say it. Andre Drummond's been disappointment. Montrezl Harrell, the fact that they aren't playing him.
That shows you. That basically shows you. Yeah.
What is Frank Vogel thinking? Like, I'm sorry. Like, sure, I just don't get it. I'm sorry. This is bad. I don't know. LeBron's come back from other stuff. He's driving. There.
Yeah, whatever. I guess I'll try to analysis this, but so basically what it is I guess you could break it down to injury, but again, I think the Lakers, when you look at this team, they are a good team, number one. But
they are.
They're I think in many ways they are overhyped too. I think both Schroeder and Harrell have been disappointing.
Yes.
I think Schroeder, I think, like, my friend keeps on telling me that, he hasn't ever been a winner, which is partially true. But, Schroeder's just been like not at the level that we expect him to play at. And, he got signed a contract extension. We thought he was going to be, a guy that could really be an impactful guy in the backcourt, an upgrade from playoff Rondo. And no, not even close to, like Dollar General playoff Rondo, probably something like that. Like, no, that's it.
In the playoffs, I'd say so. Yeah. Regular season, he was decent. I think it was a Walmart version of the regular season.
There you go. And then they missed the size too. So losing Dwight Howard, that really hurt. And I think the biggest problem is that their 3-point shooters are so streaky. I think when you look at who they brought in Wesley Matthews. They had KCP. Kuzma's the ultimate streaky kid. I mean, what can you say? These guys just literally cannot hit like a single shot for their life. Like, I remember a stat last game. It was game 5. The Lakers backcourt went for 0 points the entire freaking game 5. How do you expect?
Wait. What?
Yeah, the entire backcourt of the Lakers went for 0 points. They posted 0 points. How are you supposed to be a playoff team? I don't care if it's the Suns. How are you supposed to be like Memphis if your backcourt gives you 0 points? There's no way in hell you're being any playoff team if you do that. It's embarrassing to see that. And I don't know what to say. It's just they're a little bit stuck in some ways as well because of like how many contracts and how much money they're spending. They don't have that much cap flexibility. And I mean, this team as constructed is supposed to be good, but I think it's just very inconsistent and in some ways very brittle and fragile because one of your superstars is very injury prone. Just have it at that. And Devin Booker's just
amazing. Devin Booker's been crazy.
That just hurts so much.
Those three. And even in the LeBron standpoint, Mikal Bridges has like held his own throughout this series on LeBron. He's been solid defensively. He's stood up. He's continued how good he was in regular season defensively. Of course, like LeBron will win that matchup because LeBron's, one of the best players still on in the NBA, period. But I mean, it's just I think it's crazy. I did not see this coming. I didn't think AD would be this important. I thought LeBron was this important, but I didn't think AD was this important.
I think AD isn't that important if the rest of the team was a little better, because the rest of the team is pretty bad without AD, so he becomes very important. Okay, so I guess I should give some credit to the Suns. Yeah, the Suns have been
That
playing
with
amazing.
that Booker three, with that Devin Booker three. Let's give credit to the Suns.
They've been playing amazing. I've been looking up. I think Devin Booker has evolved into. He's gone to another level. I think like Chris Paul's really helped him in his mentality in terms of what he wants to accomplish, and how to be that guy. Right now Chris Paul's not even on the floor. Devin Booker's still lining it up. It just shows you that he's getting that leadership mentality. He's building. He's a young guy. He's getting that strength and that power to become a superstar in this league. And that's what he's doing tonight. He's been unstoppable, as we've seen so far. I think the Suns they have a pretty solid rotation. That's why I've always said, like, you and I have said that their bench isn't that deep, which can be a concern. But again, the playoffs rotation shortened, and their starting group is quite solid. And I'd take Mikal Bridges over almost any Lakers shooter over any day because he's just a consistent player. You got even Cameron Payne can be quite a fine player in terms of how well he can go on the bench, come off the bench to play. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I underestimated Cameron Payne. And I don't even think it's the Lakers defensively are good. Let's get the Lakers defensively are the best in the league. At least overall,
I don't know
throughout the
after
season.
this series, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, maybe the metrics like go down because of how Booker and Ayton, but it's the way Cameron Payne has been able to play. I think like I underestimated this Suns team. I'll just say it flat out. And I think Chris Paul, like, I don't know. I just can't stop gushing about Chris Paul because like the way this team is and like how Devin Booker's taking this mentality on, like this whole team, like Ayton, Chris Paul came there to almost like to make their like young guys better, and he's not on the floor, and he did make them better. It's like Ayton is able to do his thing even without Chris Paul. Like Booker's able to do his thing without Chris Paul. Like it's a testament to see. I just got to give credit to the Suns. I don't think it's necessarily. I mean, the Lakers, other than again that backcourt being a mess. There's not much more you can say other than the backcourt being a mess for the Lakers, as far as what they could do.
Yep.
So, I guess this will make let's you know what. There's not much to say about here. If anything happens, it'll happen with this game. Let's transition to a series that will make you happier. How about the Clippers? Man.
Oh man.
They look bad too. Like
See,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. See, if my dying wish is that if the Lakers lose this first round, which like they will probably, I would like the Clippers to lose as well because I do not. The one team I do not want to see have that much success is the Clippers, and
all right, I'm gonna predict this here. Clippers. This will be the first home win in the series. The Clippers are not going to have any. Luka with nerve damage in his neck and his back scored 42 points, had 14 assists and 8 rebounds, with Paul George guarding him for stretches at that time.
Yeah.
Like, and like they thought they figured it out. They thought they adjusted. They thought, oh, we put Rondo on him so that they know, like, so that he's know how to guard him. And then Luka he's still balling out. I'm telling you, with time, he'll get better. Like it'll heal a little bit more. And with that, I mean, what can the Clippers do? Like what the Mavericks did in Game 5. I watched that Game 5 like last night. Just, I was just like in shock. I was in awe. In a weird way, even more so. Like Dame, of course, you can see it. Like it's crazy how clutch he was. But when you know that Luka has like injury problems, like it's not like anything. It's like it significantly hindered him in the games he was at home for. Like you could tell he wasn't the same player, and he was able to overcome that. and just gut it out. And that Dallas team, although it's not like the best construction as far as like KP hasn't, like Porzingis hasn't been really the best, as good as he could be. But the fact that he's able to still carry that team is it's wild. And I don't know. I think we just have to say he's like the top 5 player in the NBA. We gotta say it. Like, not just like, excuse me, from like an NBA, like a MVP standpoint, or from, and like, this is a year he's an all-star standpoint. I think he's reached that. The way we talk about Durant, the way we talk about like Kawhi. I think you got to put him up there.
Yeah.
I just can't. Like, that game, I saw him and the way he played and the way he just passed. Like, they would double team him. They put him in a zone. Like, they'd have Kawhi, they'd have Paul George, they have Rondo, and he just find like ways, avenues. And it was like, I don't know what more the Clippers can do. Like, what can you do? It doesn't matter if Kawhi goes off for like, and how he did in the first few games. Like, he went off and he's gone. Kawhi has been great this series. Individually, he's been great this series individually. Doesn't matter. And I think that's a huge letdown from the Clippers. But I mean, and we can laugh at the Clippers and be like, laugh at their misery and laugh at how they fucking choked it. And they're these front runners that thought that, oh, well, we're the best team no matter what, and all of that. And I think maybe this isn't so much of like a choke, or so much as like, they're doing what they can. Like, Kawhi isn't choking. It's just Luka is just that damn good that they could go, maybe they could have a shot at the Jazz. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass because I'm just like hyperbolic with the Luka talk. But my gosh, wow. It's I guess, we were, it was kind of, when you think about the two LA teams, because they're always compared, how at the beginning it was looking like the Lakers were going to do fine, but the Clippers weren't. And then it was flipped. And then we thought we flipped back. And I'm saying no, like, both are going to do bad. I definitely think Dallas is going to win tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that, what, I think you covered most of the points, which is, that's good. I think the only things I'll add is, one, Kawhi's he's been good. But I think also defensively, I think in some ways he hasn't been peak Toronto Raptors, like San Antonio Spurs level. But I mean,
he hasn't. He's not 2017 through 2019. He isn't that. Yeah.
Exactly. He's up there in age, so it kind of like affected him. So I think this entire narrative has to be focused on Luka, as you mentioned. Before the playoffs began, we predicted this would be a gentleman sweep by the Clippers.
Sweep or gentleman sweep. Yes, we were wrong on this one. That's another thing we were wrong.
The pundits literally nailed down and said that, okay, this was a picture perfect matchup for the Clippers. They just have to throw their guys at Luka. He will be stifled, and then it's game over. Apparently, that was universal. That's why I said, the Clippers had a good chance of winning this like pretty easily, because
and I agree.
I heard from multiple sources, like 4 or 5 people, that was the same thing, and apparently,
and also it makes sense on paper. Like, this makes what they're doing right now against the Mavericks. Like their game, the Clippers' game plan, Ty Lue's game plan against the Mavericks makes sense on paper. It does.
Yeah, it does make sense. And I think Ty Lue's made adjustments, but Luke has just been unbelievable. I've heard a few analysis today. So Ryan Russillo, actually this morning, he came out with something about Luka and Nikola Jokic and how both of them are in this position of really can't guard them. It's really hard to guard these guys because if you double Luka, he's just going to kill you by just giving you open looks. And credit to Dallas and their role players, Tim Hardaway Jr. He's been playing great.
He played amazing, yeah.
he's been very, very clutch. He's been shooting big shots.
Even
You got
KP did pretty well.
KP.
Games,
KP's been doing well. KP's been staying. If KP stays healthy, that's all they wanted. That's all they asked for, because KP can, he can do his own things for sure. If he's just on the court and healthy. And Jalen Brunson, you got all of those guys. I think the Dallas role players have really stepped up. But Luka himself is just he. I've heard today someone compare him to a young LeBron with a better jump shot, which is at this point probably true.
But he's not as good defensively. Like,
not as good defensively, but I mean, Jesus, I mean, like offensively, he's just like a one of a kind. So yeah, I think game six is going to be close. I think all the games have been close in that series, pretty much.
They have.
So it's going to be a close one again. It's in Dallas, and so I'd say that the Mavericks get that. They have that nice home crowd advantage, and so I'm hoping and I think the Mavs will win, but we'll see. I think the Clippers have just been a letdown, and to the delight of me, they're all one game away from being eliminated. So,
and I mean, we're telling whoever watches this at the beginning, like the last time we said, these NBA playoffs are going to be the best just because anything can happen, and that has played itself out. Anything has happened. The West is shooken up. This Nets Lakers narrative that was always going to be that, or these Sixers Lakers, or whatever, or Clippers Nets. I know a bunch of friends had back home, like here in Shreveport, had Clippers Nets, or like Clippers Sixers. Even that, like anything can happen. It's with this series because of how much chemistry some of these teams have. And
right.
How anything is just possible with some of these stars. The way there's stars almost on every team, it feels like now. Which is, I'm glad. I like it when there's parity, so this makes me happy.
Right. I think it's
as far
crazy, but I was going to say this real quick. I think it's crazy that by series end, by the end of the playoffs, you could actually see the top 5 favorites beginning the year all be eliminated from the playoffs. The champion would not be within the top 5 favorites at the beginning of the season, which is just insane to think in the NBA. That's usually so star dominated, and so what team is oriented, they usually win the championship. We haven't seen this in a very long time, so exciting news for sure.
Yeah, like Phoenix popped out of nowhere, Utah popped out of nowhere. The Sixers, the Sixers, I guess, were one of the favorites, but it's the Knicks, the Hawks. The Hawks, I think, if the Hawks have a serious chance against, if Embiid is out, like the Hawks have a solid chance. Like, and if that Nate McMillan's, if that stat holds up, like how they're good they are defensively and how they're good at just winning in general with them, anything can happen. And those two show that. And I think the last series we talk about, we were mostly right on this one. Jazz, Grizzlies.
Yeah.
One more thing to say. It's it is what it is. The Memphis is they lost it because Valanciunas is just not good at guarding ball. Just he's not good in space as a defender. It's like how well can you match up against like how great the Jazz have been with Mitchell this year. Because again, like that one game without Mitchell, that's the one game that the Grizzlies won. But with Donovan Mitchell, I think you just see how this Jazz team is just on all cylinders. And the fourth quarters of some of these games, like the way they're just, the way the Jazz have been clicking with their chemistry, you gotta love it. So that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to Memphis to, play the Jazz at this point. They were just absolutely. I mean, they are an 8 seed for a reason. They got absolutely overmatched. There was nothing you could say. It was just
They were supposed to be in the 9 seed. They're supposed to be the 9 seed though.
Yeah. So they played well. John Morant's played pretty well. You can't lie about that.
Yeah, Ja's been. He's got to take the. He takes a little more of a step in like discerning when to not go all in, and not use all of his athleticism all the time, and maybe use some more of the smarts to like know when to pass out, or know when to not necessarily just try and dunk over Gobert or something like that. I think that's the next step for him. But I mean, the way he played in the play-in games, that Warriors game, like Jesus Christ, that play-in game. I mean, of course, the Lakers Warriors game is going to be talked about, but I saw that Grizzlies Warriors play-in game too. I was disappointed. I mean, you might have been you probably as well, but wow, that was something from Ja. That was something from Ja and Grayson Allen and that whole crew. And I mean, they're such a young team. They're like so young that, again, that they're making the playoffs is great with how young they are. And if like Jaren Jackson can get a shot back, if he can, like, he only came back in the NBA, like he only came back to play recently because of that that injury. So if he gets that shot back, and if Morant can find ways to develop as a passer, like, again, Memphis is one of those teams in the future.
Yeah.
Sky's up.
Absolutely. Just not this year. The Jazz just like absolutely just wiped them off the floor. So yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's it for the playoff series recaps and the state of the NBA playoffs. Yeah. This is crazy. I don't know why. How is it? This makes no sense. Like, it shouldn't be this lopsided. And
wow. We're just FYI, we are talking about the Lakers Suns game. It's lopsided because it shows that if LeBron himself, if he is the one guy that's trying to do everything, that if he plays against like a decent team, that they have no chance. None of their guys can buy a basket. There's no effort tonight. I think LeBron's the only guy
that's the sad part. That's the absolute sad part.
No, absolutely no effort. I saw the Suns. I saw Cameron Payne himself get 3 offensive rebounds. It just shows you he has zero. The Lakers have zero effort tonight in terms of just trying to get boards, trying to play defense, trying to do offense, trying to help LeBron, trying to win this game, trying to do anything. I don't know. I just embarrassing. I mean, you're playing in Staples Center. You're playing in front of the home crowd. I mean, you should get your act up. Honestly, I think it's not fair to those in Staples Center to watch this such a terrible performance and to have this lack of effort. So, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, that's a good way to end it, and that's on me for bringing this back up. I shouldn't have, but.
Good.
I don't know. I mean, game 5, I thought that made sense. Game 5 in a sense making sense. I thought there was a reason game 5 was a blowout, and I could see it, but I don't know why this is. And I'm just sorry that to all the Lakers fans, even though I'm a Celtics fan, like, I'm sorry it has to be this way. Like, I was hoping it'd be a close game. This is ridiculous.
Pain.
All right. All right. Well, we got another segment for you guys, and so we'll talk later.
Yep.